Ladies and gentlemen, life often confronts us with a question that pierces deeply into our hearts. Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do those who live with kindness, compassion, and honesty still face pain, loss, and suffering? It feels unfair, doesn't it? We look around and see good souls struggling while the dishonest seem to thrive, and our faith in justice begins to tremble. But Buddhism offers a perspective that can bring peace and understanding to this very question. According to the teachings of the Buddha, life's experiences, both joyful and painful, are not random punishments or rewards. They are the natural results of causes and conditions. Every thought, word, and action creates energy, known as karma, which returns to us in time. Sometimes this return is immediate, but often it unfolds slowly, even across lifetimes. What we face today may not be the outcome of this single moment, but of seeds planted long ago. It's not about blame. It's about understanding that everything in existence is part of a vast web of cause and effect. When we see a good person facing hardship, it doesn't mean goodness has failed. It may mean that person is burning away old karma, freeing themselves from burdens of the past. Just as gold is purified in fire, the good heart becomes stronger and more radiant through trials. Suffering, in this view, is not a curse but a teacher. It awakens wisdom, deepens compassion, and reveals the impermanent nature of everything we cling to. Through pain, we begin to see what truly matters. Buddhism teaches that nothing in this world is permanent, not joy, not sorrow, not even life itself. When we accept this truth, we stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" Every painful experience becomes an opportunity for spiritual growth. Every wound becomes a doorway to understanding. The one who remains kind in the face of suffering, patient in the face of injustice, and loving despite disappointment, that is a truly awakened being. So, when bad things happen to good people, perhaps they are not being punished but refined. Perhaps they are walking a sacred path that leads beyond pleasure and pain, toward freedom, enlightenment, and peace. Because in the end, the measure of a person is not what happens to them, but how they rise, how they respond, and how they continue to shine their light, even in the darkest hour. The law of cause and effect, known in Buddhism as karma, is one of the most profound and universal truths that explain why things happen the way they do. Nothing in this world occurs by chance. Everything arises from a series of causes and conditions. Every thought we think, every word we speak, and every action we take becomes a seed that will eventually bear fruit. This fruit can ripen in this lifetime, or even in future ones, depending on the strength and nature of the cause. When something good happens, it is often the result of past kindness, generosity, and compassion. When something painful occurs, it is not a divine punishment, but rather the natural unfolding of causes that were set into motion long ago. Buddhism teaches that karma is not about blame or guilt. It is about understanding responsibility and the interconnectedness of life. Each moment, we are shaping our future by the way we think and act. A kind person who suffers is not being punished for their goodness. Rather, They may be experiencing the delayed results of past causes, while simultaneously planting seeds for future peace and happiness through their good deeds. This understanding shifts our perspective from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What can I learn from this?" and, "What am I creating through my response?" When we live with awareness, we begin to see that karma is like a mirror reflecting the energy we send into the world. If we act with anger, greed, or ignorance, we create suffering for ourselves and others. But when we act with love, patience, and mindfulness, we create harmony and joy. The timing of these results is beyond our control, just as a farmer cannot decide when every seed will sprout. Some seeds bloom quickly, others take years. The same is true of karma. Understanding karma also helps us cultivate compassion for others. When we see someone suffering, we no longer judge them or assume they deserve it. Instead, we see that they, like us, are experiencing the unfolding of past causes. This insight awakens empathy rather than blame. It reminds us to act wisely now, to plant seeds of kindness and understanding, because these will shape the future we live in. Through the law of cause and effect, Buddhism invites us to take full responsibility for our lives, not as victims of fate, but as conscious creators of our destiny. Suffering in Buddhism is not seen as punishment, but as a natural and inevitable part of life's unfolding. It is easy to believe that pain only comes to those who have done something wrong, but this belief ignores the deeper truth of karma and impermanence. Even the most compassionate, honest, and kind-hearted individuals face moments of sorrow, loss, and hardship. Their suffering is not a sign of failure or divine retribution. It is simply the result of conditions coming together at a specific time. Life operates according to natural laws, not emotional fairness. Just as rain falls on both flowers and weeds, challenges touch every human being, regardless of virtue or sin. Buddhism teaches that suffering serves a higher purpose. It purifies the heart, deepens understanding, and helps one detach from illusions of control. When good people face pain, it is often a chance to release the residue of past karma and move closer to enlightenment. It is as if life's challenges are refining the soul, removing impurities, and revealing its true strength. Just as a rough stone becomes smooth after tumbling in water, suffering polishes the human spirit. The idea is not to escape pain, but to see through it, to recognize that it does not define who we are. Pain is temporary, but the wisdom gained from enduring it with awareness lasts forever. Every experience, pleasant or painful, has something to teach. Hardship teaches patience, loss teaches gratitude, and betrayal teaches forgiveness. When we look beyond the surface of suffering, we begin to understand that every challenge carries a hidden blessing. Through difficulty, we develop empathy for others who struggle, and through sorrow, we learn the value of peace and compassion. Without these experiences, we might never grow into the depth of understanding that makes life meaningful. Buddhism reminds us that no one is spared from the truth of suffering. Not even the Buddha himself, who faced loss, illness, and death. What matters is how we respond to these inevitable hardships, A good person continues to act with kindness despite the pain, continues to love despite loss, and continues to believe in goodness despite disappointment. This strength does not come from avoiding suffering, but from embracing it with wisdom and patience. When we stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as part of the journey, our suffering transforms into a path of awakening. Growth through suffering is one of the deepest lessons found in Buddhist philosophy. It teaches that pain and challenges are not meant to destroy us, but to awaken the strength, wisdom, and compassion hidden within. When life is easy, the mind becomes complacent and the heart remains untested. But when difficulties arise, our inner character is revealed. Just as gold is purified in fire, human beings are refined through trials. Every struggle carries the potential to transform us into a wiser, more compassionate version of ourselves. It is through pain that we learn patience, through failure that we learn humility, and through loss that we learn the true meaning of love and detachment. Suffering often acts as a mirror, showing us the parts of ourselves that still need healing. When we face pain, it brings our fears, insecurities, and attachments to the surface. Instead of running from them, Buddhism encourages us to observe them with awareness. This self-observation leads to inner clarity. We begin to see that much of our suffering is not caused by events themselves, but by our resistance to them. When we stop fighting against what is and learn to accept life's flow, suffering begins to lose its power over us. Acceptance opens the door to growth, and understanding brings peace. Pain also connects us to others. When we experience hardship, we become more sensitive to the struggles of those around us. Compassion grows naturally from shared suffering. We no longer judge others for their pain, because we recognize it within ourselves. This awareness creates a sense of unity, a deep understanding that all beings are traveling through life's challenges, each in their own way. In this realization, suffering becomes not a curse, but a bond that links humanity together. Through this transformation, we begin to appreciate the hidden blessings of suffering. It teaches us to let go of illusions, to find peace in impermanence, and to value the present moment. When we rise above pain, we discover inner strength we never knew existed. The storms of life no longer feel like punishment, but like sacred teachers guiding us toward enlightenment. True growth is not born from comfort or ease, but from endurance, understanding, and the courage to remain kind, even when the world feels unkind. The truth of impermanence lies at the heart of Buddhist understanding. Everything in existence, whether joy or sorrow, success or failure, love or loss, is constantly changing. Nothing remains fixed. Not even the moments we wish could last forever. The Buddha taught that clinging to things that are temporary is the root of human suffering. We want happiness to stay, relationships to never change, and comfort to never fade. But life moves like a flowing river. When we try to hold on to its passing waves, we suffer. Understanding impermanence allows us to see the beauty of change rather than fearing it. It reminds us that pain does not last forever, and that even the darkest night will eventually give way to dawn. When good people face hard times, it may feel as if life is unfair. But through the lens of impermanence, we realize that both happiness and hardship are temporary guests. Today's suffering may transform into tomorrow's wisdom, and today's loss may open the door to new beginnings. Nothing remains the same, and that is both the challenge and the miracle of life. This awareness helps us loosen our grip on expectations. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we begin to accept life as it unfolds. Acceptance brings peace, because it frees us from the endless struggle to control what cannot be controlled. Impermanence also teaches us gratitude. When we truly understand that everything is fleeting, we start to appreciate each moment deeply. The laughter of a loved one, the beauty of a sunrise, even the stillness of solitude. We learn to love without attachment, to give without expecting return, and to live without fear of loss. Each experience becomes precious precisely because it will not last forever. In Buddhism, impermanence is not something to be mourned but embraced. It is a reminder that every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. The flower must wilt for the fruit to grow, and the day must end for night to bring rest. When we accept this natural rhythm, we stop resisting life and start flowing with it. We find serenity in the understanding that change is not an enemy but a teacher, one that constantly reminds us to live fully, to let go gracefully, and to trust that nothing, whether joy or pain, ever stays the same. Pain, when approached with awareness, can become one of life's greatest teachers. Buddhism teaches that instead of running from suffering or numbing it with distractions, we should face it directly with mindfulness and compassion. Every painful experience holds a hidden message, a lesson waiting to be understood. When we resist pain, we only increase our suffering, but when we look deeply into it, we begin to uncover its true nature. Pain often arises from attachment, our desire for things to be different than they are. When we see this clearly, we start to loosen the grip of clinging, and in that release, wisdom begins to bloom. Suffering can transform into insight when observed with awareness. For instance, when we experience loss, we realize the impermanence of everything we hold dear. When we face failure, we learn humility and patience. When others hurt us, we discover the strength of forgiveness. These experiences open our eyes to truths that comfort alone could never reveal. Through pain, the mind deepens, and the heart becomes more tender and compassionate. We begin to understand not just our own struggles, but the suffering of others as well, which awakens empathy and genuine kindness. Buddhism encourages us to meet our pain without judgment, not labeling it as good or bad, but simply seeing it as part of life's unfolding. This awareness transforms pain into a tool for awakening. Meditation, mindfulness, and reflection allow us to observe our emotions without being consumed by them. In doing so, we step out of the cycle of reaction and gain a sense of inner peace, even amidst turmoil. Pain then loses its power to control us. It becomes a doorway to deeper understanding. When we transform pain into wisdom, we no longer see suffering as an obstacle, but as a sacred opportunity for growth. Every tear, every disappointment, and every wound can become a teacher, guiding us toward clarity and self realization. The key is awareness. The ability to stay present, to learn from the experience, and to respond with compassion rather than bitterness. In this way, suffering becomes the soil from which wisdom grows. It teaches us that life's most painful moments often contain the seeds of our greatest spiritual transformation, and through awareness, those seeds can bloom into peace and enlightenment. True peace, according to Buddhism, does not depend on perfect circumstances or the absence of pain. It comes from within, from a calm and balanced mind that remains steady even in the midst of chaos. Life will always bring both joy and sorrow, gain and loss, praise and blame. But the person who has cultivated inner peace is not easily shaken by these changing winds. They understand that everything outside of them, people, possessions, and experiences, is temporary. What lasts is the state of the mind and heart. When we learn to stay kind, compassionate, and mindful despite what life brings, we begin to experience freedom that cannot be taken away by external events. Buddhism teaches that inner peace arises through awareness and acceptance. It begins when we stop fighting against reality and start flowing with it. The good person who faces suffering does not lose their light, but learns to let that light shine even brighter in darkness. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "How can I remain peaceful through this?" This shift in perspective turns suffering into strength. Challenges then become opportunities to practice patience, forgiveness, and compassion. In this way, every painful situation becomes a path toward awakening. When one is rooted in inner peace, anger and fear lose their control. The mind becomes like a still lake. Even when storms pass overhead, the depths remain undisturbed. This calmness is not weakness. It is the greatest form of strength. It allows us to respond wisely rather than react emotionally. The more we practice mindfulness and compassion, the less we are affected by the ups and downs of life. We begin to realize that no one and nothing outside us has the power to disturb our peace unless we allow it. Inner peace is the ultimate goal of spiritual growth. It is a sign of true maturity, the ability to remain gentle when the world is harsh, patient when others are angry, and loving when faced with hatred. When we cultivate this unshakable peace, we not only heal ourselves, but also bring calm to those around us. Our very presence becomes a source of comfort and strength. In this way, a peaceful mind becomes the most powerful tool for transforming suffering into serenity, confusion into clarity, and fear into freedom. Thanks for watching.